My husband told me, "Your cancer diagnosis disgusts me. Stop talking about it." So I never mentioned it again. What happened next destroyed him. I'd been feeling sick for months before the doctors finally found the tumor. So when I got the diagnosis, I thought my husband Marcus would be scared like I was. But he never seemed interested in hearing about my appointments or treatment options. And when I mentioned starting chemotherapy over breakfast, he slammed his coffee mug down so hard it shattered. "Stop talking about depressing medical shit while I'm eating," he yelled. "I'm so sick of hearing about your cancer. You've become a burden and all you talk about is being sick. Just stop talking about it completely." I stared at him in shock. 12 years of marriage and this was his response to me possibly dying. I carefully set down my toast and said quietly, "Okay, I won't mention the cancer again." Marcus looked relieved and went back to his phone like nothing had happened. When I started going to chemotherapy appointments alone, Marcus initially enjoyed having the house to himself. But after the first week, he started texting constantly asking where I was. When I just replied appointment without elaborating, his messages became frantic. "What appointment? Talk to me. What's going on?" But I didn't because he specifically asked me not to. Our neighbors noticed me getting thinner and losing my hair and started asking Marcus if everything was okay. He had to keep making vague excuses about stress and diet changes. Soon, everyone on our street was whispering about Marcus doing nothing while his wife was clearly sick. By week 3, Marcus was showing up at my oncologist's office. "Just tell me what's happening," he'd plead in the parking lot. "I need to know about your health." The receptionist would tell him I was with the doctor and couldn't discuss my condition. My sister threw me a small gathering at her house to shave my head before the chemo made it fall out in clumps. Marcus's own mother was there and asked why Marcus wasn't. When my sister explained what he'd said about my diagnosis disgusting him, his mother went pale and immediately left to confront her son. Marcus's boss's wife was at the gathering too since she'd gone through breast cancer the year before. She asked where Marcus was, and when she heard the story, she told her husband that same night. Marcus's boss called him into the office the next day, asking what kind of man abandons his wife during cancer treatment. Marcus had to sit through a meeting about the company's values while everyone stared at him. The gathering gifts included a care package from Marcus's own mother, who'd found out about the event from my sister instead of her son. Marcus had been calling me daily by then, leaving desperate voicemails. "Please just give me updates about treatment. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it like that. Tell me about the appointments, the prognosis, anything." His mother confronted Marcus at Sunday dinner, crying about how she'd raised him better than this. His siblings told him they were ashamed to call him their brother. His father actually removed him as executor of his will that same day. When I collapsed during my 3rd chemo session and was hospitalized for severe dehydration, the hospital called Marcus as my emergency contact. He burst into my room shaking and pale. "Why didn't you tell me it was this serious? You could have died." I simply looked at him and said nothing about my condition. He grabbed my hand with tears in his eyes. "Please, I'm begging you. Talk to me about what's happening." I turned away without responding. The nurses had heard what he said and were glaring at him from the doorway. HR at his company called him in, asking if he needed time off for his wife's medical crisis that apparently everyone except him knew about. The hospitalization meant I needed help at home, which Marcus discovered when he came back to find a home health aide in our bedroom. He stood frozen in the doorway staring at the IV pole and medical equipment. "What is all this? How bad is it? Is the cancer spreading?" When I just nodded toward the aide to explain, he punched the wall and screamed, "Tell me about the cancer." I take it back, okay? The home health aide reported the wall punch to her supervisor. The delivery company that brought the hospital bed told all our